All right, we're back once again at the 441st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 14th, 2022. Okay, are you ready to begin the next part, Mr. Kesh?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm really willing and able somewhere, somehow we can do things. I have a message from the Keshe Foundation team in the background. Some people are donating to the Keshe Foundation through PayPal for this unit. Please donate to the Keshe Foundation headquarters in Holland, not through the PayPal, because we are not selling anything and it stays as a donation. It has to go to foundation which received donation. Any other question, or shall we start with a question?
Yes, well, we have some relatively medical questions here, but let's entertain them. We have one from Ivani Barreto from in the Q&A, and could be it's I had to translate and I forget what language it was, but the translation ends up being he says, "Good morning, Mr. Kesh. I'm a quadriplegic due to a traffic accident. Can I enter the flight unit and get cured?"
These machines are not curing machines. These are flight systems. We are not providing health or wellness facilities. Even though we see people they come to test their flight system, they see some changes. Yesterday we had a guy from Germany. His aim wasn't to fly. He wanted to see the grandmother, which was precious to him. And he went through the system. We didn't know that. It's just we don't ask questions from people. What do you want? What are your expectations? They write it in a sealed documents and they leave it on the table before they go in. And when he came out, I said, "What happened? Did you do anything?" He said, "Yes, I went to see my grandmother. That's what I came here for. I wish to see my grandmother. But before I came in, I had a problem with my knee. I could not move my knee. Really. And now it's gone." He was sitting on the sofa and twisting and turning his leg. I said, "You came here to understand the elevation of the soul and how we can do what it is." And so gaining, and we've seen this a lot. We saw this with the new system with 5 people this week, that they don't tell us what they have, what they come, and they, what do you call it, go through the system, and when they come out, they tell us. We had yesterday our volunteer, which is, he volunteers himself, he comes there every day, he wants to fly, and he goes through the flight system. He's blind in one eye. Yesterday, for the first time, don't forget, last week he could see red, this week he sees blue. And he feels for the first time pain in his eyes. And I said to him, "You want to carry on testing. When your soul is ready to bring the vision of light to you, we are here to service." And he doesn't pay for any of the services. He doesn't know. He's paid once when he came. And because he's there, he wants to, the desire to see. We are not there to stop. But we are not here to, what do you call it, provide health or other facilities. This is a pure flight simulation, and that's what I said to you. From what you tell us, we understand what we need to change, what needs to be added. The 3 chairs on one side has been not being used anymore. And so the process is, there's a very big problem, paraplegic with accidents. It's cut nerve or a crushed nerve. If the nerve is crushed, everything is mushed up. If it's a straight cut nerve, lines usually find each other. We have developed a technology for realigning neurosystem, which is taught to the doctors. And it's for them to apply it. You can connect, if it's a crushed nerve, it's very difficult in a way you get a banana and you squash it together. Not the thing stands in line and that's how the nerves are. And in the world of present science, there is no development to be able to ride it. Nerves are still some jump and you get what we call phantom pains. And if it's a cut, you cut a finger, you can do the nerve because they can connect up. You crush a nerve, it's very difficult to find a matching maybe a few centimeters down to do it. We have developed the technology for doing it. It's not within the space technology and is within the knowledge of the health applications of technology, which is taught only to doctors. And now we are, as I said, we are preparing doctors for use of the new systems. And that's how it should be. We are technicians, we are researchers, we are developers. And once we develop the system, we hand it over to those who are going to use it. This is what the naturopathical license of the Keshe Foundation says. We develop the technologies and in conjunction with doctors to be used. And we keep it that way. And that's why we start handing over everything to doctors as of yesterday. We had till 2 o'clock or so, one of the doctors of the Keshe Foundation, medical people who understand, educated in the world of medicine, to be there, to take over. And literally the last sessions, I don't even go in because he knows what to do, he understands, and we just try to train. Because they'll be the first people who receive the first units. And they need to know how to use it, and then we have to train people for the other places. Paraplegic, you have to know how it's happened. And then there is a way to realign even the crushed nerves, but that outside the Keshe Foundation work is with the medical side. And we have developed that technology fully. And it needs to be taught with the doctors who take over the running of the Keshe Foundation's medical side in the time to come. Any other question?
Well, along those lines, well, first of all, Ivani was actually was Portuguese language that I translated for the quadriplegic. We have a question from Jacob Gorecki, who says there are concepts that say that all diseases are psychosomatic, such as Germanic medicine says so. When I have a problem with my eyesight, for example, it means that I don't want to see some problems with my life. How does the technology of using GANs help or support treatment, taking into account German medicine?
First of all, we don't treat. Secondly, you have to understand the psychosomatic has been understood not just by Germans. It's understood by the whole of the medical world. We create 80% of our illnesses, 90% of our illnesses ourselves through psychological changes. And it's not that we actually put it there. We weaken the condition of our specific organs or whatever that allows other conditions to move in. This is how what most of the psychosomatic is. When you go through the psychological pressure with your son, the change in wanting not to create reduces or creates a condition that changes the salinity of the certain cells that they solidify, and then we call it a cancer. So we are creator of it. Accidents, we cannot do much, but it's not Germanic. It is understood thousands of years ago by the first man. And we create some of it. And it's amazing how in the system, as I was talking earlier, we say you go to the airport and you see the sign, you wait till the sign comes up. We see this in the system. Yesterday or the day before, we had a guy who could actually feel the organ. And it's not a touch feel, it's an energy feel. And this is what we said in the past will happen. The same as in the system, you go and you visit your grandmother. Now you go and you visit your own organ. What have done wrong to you? What energy you need to change that I don't have the pain anymore? We had a guy came 3 weeks ago or so, and he could not move his hand. He came out, he could shake his hand anywhere. He came in yesterday. Now he says the pain is on the other side. I said, yes, of course. Now he's balancing what you were suffering from the other side. This side had to go. He says, but now they both work. You find a solution within the strength of the soul. Our machines are not the medical systems. We elevate the soul, and the soul is like you see in the movies where the nuclear bomb explodes and the wave goes all the way out. That's your soul. In the center of the nuclear bomb is the soul, and the field of it is when it expands. And it has so much power that in the case of the nuclear bomb, it destroys because it over energizes the anything on its way. Now is your soul energizes your own organs. There's no difference. It's you who triggers that bomb. It's you who releases that soul and triggers that wave of energy, and on the way, everything has to come to a balance. And it's so fast. Once people become less anxious when they're in the system and allow the energies to expand slowly, then we'll see that any kind of, what do you call it, misbalance will be balanced. Any other question?
Yes, Jacob is from Poland. He has a further question here in the Q&A. Does your technology interfere in some way with the soul's plan? If the soul wants to experience in a sick human body, why heal the body? Thank you, and all the best.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Does your technology interfere in some way with the soul's plan? If the soul wants to experience in a sick human body, why heal the body? Thank you, and all the best.
No, we are facilitators. I had 2 doctors in the system yesterday, and I spent nearly an hour and a half plus 2 hours with them. And I put the 2 doctors in 2 different systems, one on the left, one on the right. And I took them through a process to show as doctors how much they are controllers. We have a system built in that we can adjust. And I got them, the 2 doctors together, to move different things in the system or touch different things. And every time they went, our system switched on. Every time they moved, after a few seconds, it switched off. So we were watching the expansion of the soul, which meant when we could it's a very interesting, it's amazing when you have very beautiful doctors who, as medical people, they sit and they tell you a lot of things. I spent a lot of time with these two. This is the second time they're coming, so they were familiar with the system. The first time they came, they went through chairs. This time there was a direct. One of them went direct, one went through the two chairs. So we wanted as a medical side to understand a lot of things. And it was amazing how parallel the two were. They just knew each other. There was no relationship between them or any friendship, or they just knew each other as knowledge because they came to know each other. And interesting is that we have a special system in the structure that they could, at certain points, both of them trigger. And triggering this would allow the soul to expand beyond their physical body. And we played with it. We played, they were more than willing to experiment, because the doctors, the medical people, and they see different alternative solutions, whatever. And we spent a lot of time with these two doctors in the system, understanding the transfer, the expansion, the shrinkage of the soul within the structure. Interesting is how as they are givers, as they are doctors, they have trained to save life, to give from them. Then we brought them in the middle and sitting, and we just, in a way, check marking their feelings and everything and how this happens. And it is amazing how people of the medical profession, who are there really to help their patients, become givers, and they take so much to give. And as I said to one of them, is you go and touch the arm, the patient says, this is very hurts. You're such a giver, it's like me, your finger is like a pain pad yourself. Your touch has already changed. The prescription is just, what do you call it? Just a physical thing to think you're taking. And the other doctor said, yes, this happens a lot with my patients, but I said, this is what it is. We are the healers of the old time. When a patient said, this hurts, and you sit across the table, is a prescription. When a doctor touches it, he has become that pain pen. Prescription not needed. But you want to take something to say is that the process of the healing by the doctor has already started with a touch. And they both could confirm the patients they touch, there is a healing with them. Because both of them do acupuncture and other things as an alternative for their patients. And this is the way the structure works. And our system, with it, we could ask them the expansion of their souls, how much they expanded. And they tell us beautiful things. And then we have a facility in the system that we can drain it. We drain their energy, and then we see the system works, goes like nothing, and then it stops, because they have to be in control, they have to be in charge. And we see the same thing we had yesterday with the banker. She has to be in charge because money controls everything. And I said, this is what happens to you in the machine. Control. Any other question?
Okay, and YouTube from Lisa. Many thanks for the love, knowledge, and service to the universe. Can the people in the flight system see who has committed suicide and help raise that soul?
You have the capability to raise any soul. But the point is, does the soul wants to receive that elevation? This is your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is not giving if what you give is accepted. You know, when you walk on the streets of China in Beijing, beggars are not there handing out anymore, hands out to collect coins as is tradition in the West. Nowadays, the beggars who want money, they put a WeChat number on the floor and you give, and then you just give it into their accounts. Even the government gets taxation on the begging. There's no change of money. Nobody carries the money. It's just you do with a WeChat. And up to now, beggars were rich because nobody knew what they. Now the government knows what the beggar takes. And this is how the system should be. You can give with nobody knowing, but you can give with everybody knowing exactly what it is to get taxed with. So it's very much, doesn't matter how much you give. Is the soul you want to give it to ready to receive? Any other question? You know, it's very much when you feed a baby, you fill a spoon up, but the baby locks the mouth. Nothing goes in. I decide what you put in my mouth. I decide what I receive. Have you ever had that experience? 1 or 2 a spoon, yes, I don't like the taste. I shut the gate. That's it. We can have it. I'm not touching it. You hold it. You cooked it. You eat it. It's not to my taste. It's not what I'm looking for. And it's exactly that way. Another question.
I remind our attendees here, they can raise their virtual hands and we can allow you to open the microphone. Okay, there's a question in the chat here. I'm not sure. I'll read it and I think it'll be okay. Says Mr. Kesh, this is Alexander from Project Love.
I'm reading it.
Okay.
That will be answered by the foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
SD has some comments there, but I'm not sure if there's an actual question. His comments about his GANs setup. There was a question previously in the YouTube from Brett regarding what kind of gas. He says he's a licensed gas fitter, but he says his question has been answered now. But he was asking, will it be like CNG or can it be liquefied to LPG, meaning natural gas or propane? But you were talking about methane gas, I believe, as can you clarify? There's methane gas, but also you mentioned gasoline, production of gasoline.
We call it a diesel and petrol fuel. as a liquid. We talk about a gas as methane gas, and we talk about gasoline, and the Americans call it gasoline. We call it a fuel in petrol and diesel. And we're talking about petrol and diesel in the coming time.
Okay. Okay, we have a hand up here from Alex Lacerov. If you could go ahead, Alex, and say who you are and where you're from.
Hey, everybody. This is Alex from Vancouver, Canada. Been following the knowledge for a little while now, and very grateful.
Oh, you're the one with the question in the chat, correct?
That is correct. Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
We'll respond to you back through the email you sent.
Okay. Thanks so much,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Cash.
much.
Wonderful to meet you finally in
Thank you very much.
this incarnation.
Thank you very much indeed. Any other question? The answer to your question is yes, but they have to sort it out inside what it is and how it is.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you very
Looking
much.
forward to the experience.
Thank you very much indeed. Any other question?
I have a couple of questions in the Q&A now. From Dan, how do you see the difference between the sovereign living being and that of a natural person, commercial good, admiralty law, belonging to the corporation, former states?
I don't know who started these things, and a lot of people have bought into it. It doesn't make sense. Nobody is part of the property of anything. This is something going on the internet, and a lot of people, it's a fantasy world to believe in it, if I'm understood correctly. And they produce so much papers to confirm is what is, and it's a lot of nonsense too. Those of you who know what it is, or as much as I understood, we are not subjects, we are not bought at the birth. Our birth certificate is not our slavery and the rest of it. It's very much like a CO2 problem, which the Dutch guys started and started selling trees for it because Dutch were fantastic in agriculture, plants and flowers. They changed it to the CO2 and global expansion, what they call it, global warming, and everybody bought to it. You understand what I'm talking about? I hope.
Well, I understand because I worked for for many years for the largest reforestation tree planting company in Canada, which was run by a Dutchman by the name of Brinkman. So it was, I can understand that. He's trying to plant the planet and, reduce the CO2 and so on. The
You have
trees.
to create a condition for it. You know how much a few years ago you used to change your air mile with how many trees, if you remember?
Yes.
For the jet fuel
And
you use.
carbon credits now are similarly used. Dimitri asks, how much diesel or petrol is produced daily?
Where? With what?
I guess with the new gasoline producing units
That will
that you
announce
speak
when
of.
it's done. That will announce that when it's done. This is not what we're just talking about the gas. The prime problem in the Western Europe is gas production, what they call liquid gas. Any other question?
Oh, Dan seems to be upset about your answer here and says, "Are you kidding? You do not differentiate between owner and holder and beneficiary. So you do not have a says, so you do not have a passport. Do you pay taxes and tell me it's normal to be happy that you work, but now to be a slave, to be taken by your corporation? Do you say it's normal?"
It's not normal.
Well,
yeah, I
Dan
understand
says
what he's trying to say.
he says he's not upset, but when you use capitals, Dan, that means you're yelling basically. Do you say it's normal is you're upset?
I understand. The truth about this work is you live in a country, you have the benefit of it, you pay the taxes of it, you pay the what we call what is due. People like not to pay taxes, but they like to have the bus service, they would like to have the hospital service, they would like to have a cleaner street, they would like to have police force that they can do things for them, the ambulances to be there. They only look at their own pocket. So what can you tell to the people like this? And how can we explain it? Of course, we pay taxes. Of course, you drive a car, you have to pay for the roads. Otherwise, you would like the bumpy roads. When you hit a hole in the road, so you curse the whole world. The government is not doing for it. But to do it, it needs to pay someone. Unfortunately, the mayor is not a laborer to fill in the holes. You didn't pay him for that. And so, it's part of what you get in the Western world. Go and live in Africa, you don't pay taxes. You don't have the roads, you just walk on the dirt. Hospital, if somebody paid for it, is 200, 300 kilometers away. Ambulances don't exist as such in rural areas. You pay for it, you take it. It's just the way things are. But collectively, we accepted that we have the roads clean, that we can walk, we have the lights at night, we can do, and so we pay for it. The people like this only look at their pocket. What I give. Hello, what did you take? Did you get on the bus? Did you get on the train? Who pays for that bus? You think your 2 cents will do, or 10 cents or £1 will pay for that bus driver, the diesel, the repairs and everything running? Doesn't work that way. And if you see as a control, don't get out of the bed, don't switch anything on, and the same bed say how long you last. We live in a society which we have accepted collective service. And some of us are part of that. Some of us clean the floor, some of us deliver the food to the hospital, some of us are nurses. Who pays for these things? We collectively accept responsibility of our children. That's why we see more liberated women, because now instead of one father making sure there's a food on the table, there's a house, the government does that, and us as all the men and women work to pay that government to make sure that child born has a free education, free hospital, free everything else. We have become collective society for our children. But we leave it in the hand of one mother to raise that one single child. The head of the Keshe Foundation yesterday was talking about if we could, with the enhancement unit, go and take all the abused children from the world we have, we can teach the souls. And then she sent a message that, so where are we going to put them? Where are we going to find the which is beautiful to have? Or who are we going to make responsible to look after them? Well, now that we have the enhancement unit. The wish is there, but the practicality to it has to be there as well. We, especially in the Western world and gradually across the world, we become collectively responsible even for the children. A mother who's unemployed and a child goes to school, receives a free education, free hospital, all the injections are done free, clothing provided with the social security backing up, paying the mother to do. Now we are collectively the father of that child. Doesn't matter, man or a woman, old or young, we work, we pay through taxes to ensure that child born up, and he might become a doctor, he might become a scientist, he will become nobody. But it's our responsibility that child is born. And where does it come from? We pay towards it. It's a collective life. In November, we become 8 billion of us. We pass the 7 million mark, according to United Nations. By the end of the century, we pass 9.6 billion, or sorry, 11.5 billion, I think. And China will be about 1.3 billion population, and India will be 1.6 plus billion people. India will take over China in the next 20 years because China has a population control. India has no population control. And still as part of the different ways the children in India and China and the rest of the world grow. Poverty or with wealth.
Okay, Mr. Kesh, what about the challenging idea of governments that Alex is bringing up in the chat here, that governments are not in integrity and have not been for a very long time. They're spending far more than they take in taxes on things none of us have agreed to, like war, bioweapons labs, and other such things. Humanity's not agreed to this. So why would they pay taxes to governments that have been spending on things that we don't really want?
Which country is he from? Which country is he from?
I mentioned that he's in Canada.
Canada. Excuse me.
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
I'm not sure if he's from Canada, but that's where he's living.
Sure. To be a superior power, to be a Western leading nation, usually is done by terrorizing, not by developing. Who has more armies, better to kill nowadays, has more respect. And everything else which goes to Canada, America, and the rest of it costs money. You elected them to be there for you to be a leading nation. And they spend it to have these things that they feel powerful enough to be a leading nation. So
yeah, but the thing is, we, the people, didn't really elect the government that's in right now. If the government that's in right now got 33% of the vote, which is only less than it's only about 16% of the actual population of the country. So less than 1 in 5 people.
Do you know what's happening in Sri Lanka today? Just go on the news. People have gone to the house of the president, people have gone to the house of prime minister, and they're literally swimming in the pools and watching the television and playing board games in their homes till they go. I think one of them threw firework, burned the building down and above the prime minister or something.
Yes, I think I read about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do we want that way to change the democracy? Or we ask for our government to open the black boxes, black budgets they call it. Americans are very good at it. Black budget is we do whatever we like. We borrow and you pay for it, and we try to make the most advanced killing machines. And then we see what happens. So, because we want to be superior, we want to be whatever. The black budget is one of the ways that the government does not answer what it does, and most of these projects are hiding inside it. You have to get to your parliament and change the black budget. There should be no black budget financing. And then it goes with the same with the military. We've seen it, and it's somehow has been ingrained in the work of a government. We have to do to be stronger, to be bigger, to be more powerful, that we can receive whatever. And with the new technology, do we need to? We saw last week the way things have turned up in 2 or 3 Western countries. It's the Americans are happy that the dollar is in parity and they can do a lot of things with euro, but what's the next step? Would we see a run out of refugees out of Europe into America or other part of the world when the riots and burning down starts, as they suspect it might do? It's funny when you look at it. We were testing in Tehran on Saturday, Sunday with Americans and everything else. And one of the world leading oil nations has to have a power cut 1 day a week because they don't have the fuel to run the generators. Our lab was shut down. I mean, we had the power generation backup, but there's no electricity. And this is how things are going to turn out. And the funny thing is, many of them cryptocurrency miners have moved into Iran because electricity is cheap and creating the crisis. By trying to make money out of crypto has brought the nation to a point of what you call short. But what can be done? What's the next? This is a very strange system in we see it for at least what we know, as I said before, governments allowing new styles of work to come in, new ways of work to come in. For the first time, we always, as I said, in past 14 years and before, Keshe Foundation worked, passed knowledge, developed technologies through the structure of the Iranian government, which ended up with different applications. For the first time in the history of Iran, an independent private space company has been registered, has been allowed to be registered that to bring the new space technology, which is a major breakthrough in Iran. Keshe Space Company, as a space company, now is registered in Iran, and we start operating under that banner, which means the government now allows one of the leading space institutes in the world with the new technology to openly, like what you call EMOS and the rest, to operate in Iran to bring in the new space technology. We are a registered company. And space has been exclusivity of the government and Sepah. So we can start launching the space flights, space teachings, space development in Iran. And this is how we look at it. We don't look at the budget from the government to high technologies, but now we officially can start, will start doing a space test in Iran because we are registered to this. We have no black budgets. Our budget goes on what we receive, we sell, and what we receive as donation. but officially now as a space registered cash space company, we start a space development. Americans will test their rocket propulsion. We test the new flights, as you've seen, the gas productions and the new enhancement units. We have no black budget, and then we operate in a way that knowledge which is in Iran, is in Austria, is in the United States, is in China. This is great. We have registered the Space Institute in US already operating. Australia is sitting to go through. Chinese is there to go. So now governments fight who has more advanced, and we saw the fight between NASA and the Chinese in the past couple of weeks. And a structure like us now shares the most advanced technology freely amongst us. And governments allowing, even the controlling governments, allowing such an institute to operate, is amazing. You knowledge seekers do not understand what has been achieved, what has been done. You just look at one maggraph and the rest. But the amount of work we are doing, the amount of knowledge sharing we're doing, governments are allowing, even in Iran, which is fully controlled on the space side, for an independent private space, which is a major corporation and major changes in Iran, especially on the military side and the defense side, to operate now freely in the market. And it's owned by an Iranian nuclear physicist. We have no black budget. Our black budget was a black box. We told you, you want the gas production to go, and we'll see how you as knowledge seekers will build it up. We fail, you fail. We don't manage to break the cartel on the oil, you fail miserably, because we brought the knowledge. It's for you to be able to receive it. And when I told you that the systems will be delivered by the end of July, we are not going to, it's already been built, is already getting tested for different applications and be released. This is how we see the structure will take shape. And this is how it should be. Do we have a black budget? We don't have a black budget. We use everything everywhere possible. And we asked you for help 6 weeks ago, whatever, for a project which changes the position of the Keshe Foundation, and we're still trying to complete that we can go ahead with it. We found that there another piece which was not calculated short in the structure. We're trying to sort it out. We're not coming to you to help us again. But when that sorted, there's no black budget. It's spent directly in the lines where it is, how it goes, and how we planned it to go. We are a major shareholder in Markray, and we use that to benefit all of you when we start moving. It's we use it like a treasury of the Keshe Foundation. You will understand when it comes and starts operating. And we use the structure of the Universal Council, the Earth Council, and the Keshe Foundation as a governing body to govern, to do so, and back up that it can be delivered. Would there be a black budget? No. Would you allow to create weapons? Why should we need when there is everybody the same? So a lot of people come and claim a lot of things. I work to all of you as knowledge seekers. And you are responsible for what comes and how goes and what it lives and how the extension comes. We need to have 100 units across this planet, paid for to be, because otherwise I have to go and do different things with different governments and things, and they dictate how the technology is released. When I tell the gas companies and the government of Germany already 100 units committed out with people, the talk is different than ours. Just the scientific organizations come here to do something with us. And that's why we need 100 units out. You're responsible for bringing that peace condition, not me. I've done my work. We are researchers. You want governments not to control you. You are in charge. You are in control. You have to do it, not me. I did it for 15 years. I put my life on it. And you have to bring that change, not me. Everything we've done has done the Keshe for the Keshe Foundation. I've just received this, which I'm going to share with you. And this is the invitation card for your world leaders. You fill in the name, you fill in everything which is there, and you send it to them, and they have to register at booking@kesheexhibition.center. You book it for them, but they have to come. Now you see how we work. This is the invitation card. You can take copy. The same goes to Universal Council, to the Universal Council support teams, and every one of you. And it sits with you to bring that change, not with us. We are doing all our work we can. The Keshe Foundation team is working relentlessly in the background to make sure that what you wanted, what you asked for, gets done. But as I call your sidewalkers, just wait there to be delivered, and everything else is not done. It's the foundation fault. What have you done? What are you doing? Nothing. Most of you are watchers. When it happens, oh, we were with the foundation, this and that, and we were with the foundation and the others. And you only participate if there is something in it for you. Any other question?
We have no more open questions. We have a couple of hands up here, however, from Antonio, if you'd like to go ahead first, and then Thomas after that.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe, Antonio from Australia again. Just a question on which is really exciting for me as a farmer, the system that so you don't have to use fertilizer. Is there a distance to that from, say, my property, and or is it to do with my own soul that it can expand out further and further and further? And also, I do have another question, but just based on that, the energy system that you don't have to use fertilizer.
What do you mean by that?
You announced that there's a system that you won't need fertilizer.
Yeah.
So how does it work? Like, is there a distance from, or does it only apply to your property?
You can extend it to a city. You can extend it to across a section of a country.
Right. Okay. And when it comes to the fuel cost and that, say for example diesel, when all the farmers are paying double now for diesel, I would be able to help everyone here and the transport companies in a big way, but I probably need a license for that as well. I'm not sure what the situation would be there, or would you need to own a petrol station? That's another thing that we'd have to look at. So I'm interested in all that, what I can do to help others.
It is a progressive development of the technology and the knowledge, and we are limited in what and how much we can do.
Yeah.
And now we put a lot of resources in enhancement unit, we put a lot of resources in the power enhancement unit, a lot of resources going into this fuel business of gas. So it takes a lot, and we don't receive that much to do. More or less every cent hand to hand is getting spent that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the next step comes when we go through the next phase.
Yeah.
This technology is already exists. We have it. It just has to be redirected to these resources. I think part of it you would have understood in the enhancement unit in Linz, where we speak about let me do it this way. Then you understand it's not something which we don't have, or it's something there. When, if you go back to the teaching of last couple of weeks, when we say we have people in the middle, yeah, the fields from these two creates the fields here, but the fields we created a specific way. We cannot do it in a normal way. So now this is one post in your farm, and this is the other post in your farm.
Yeah.
You grow wheat this year, you grow maize and something else another half or next year. There's no use having a fertilizer for a wheat when you plant corn. It's a knowledge which we gain, we have, and expands to the use. And has to be delivered. It's not a normal knowledge. Normally it cannot be done in an easy way.
I have this CO2 capture unit from the Keshe Foundation, but what I've received is more of the One Cup, One Life system. Is that okay for farming, or should I be using just CO2?
It's that's the best you received.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's why it was sent to you that way. Is the one frame one, is that the big frame? It's like a box with trays in it. Yeah, am I correct?
Yeah,
with buckets in it. Yeah, that is one of the best you have. But you have to remember to use the amino acids on the top of the cups before you drain your ganses, and then add it after the wash.
Yep. I collected everything and the amino acid and everything into one container, but you're saying that you should separate the amino acid and then add that later. Is that what we?
Yes, because when you wash, you get rid of the amino acid usually. It's on top of the water and you wash it out. You collect the amino acid, you
Yeah.
wash the gans, and then you add the amino acid to it. And usually that amino acid you collect brings the right balance salt for the plants and the things.
Yeah.
We send that unit to you, I remember, because there was some delays with the shipping to Australia and the rest, so we had a lot of problem with yours. And that's what you received, the way you received.
Yeah. Look, waiting is not a problem for me. And I understand sometimes,
No,
some things-
your situation was difficult. It was costing us more to ship than what you paid for it.
That's okay. I donate.
I know.
I've given you some donations, so I make
Yeah,
up.
I know. At that time, I remember this because the shipping, they wouldn't ship. And I said, what's the reason? Because I said, find a way, get it done, because it doesn't matter, it's our problem, it's been solved. And then meanwhile, there was the time it took, there were some upgrades and updates. So you received the upgrades and updates before it was back.
I'll pay you back anyway. Doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't go because I remember your case about a couple of years ago or so. It was sitting there because every time I passed the thing, it was sitting. I said, why doesn't this go to Australia? Why is it sitting here? It says, there's a problem. I said, okay, now pack it. And then there was something had to be sorted out.
The something is happening because the people that comment on the produce that I'm, fruit, stone fruit and vegetables, watermelons and pumpkins and whatever, tomatoes, they always comment on how tasty my produce is. So, I will say that the plasma is doing something. I'll also, I use other things like the biodynamic methods as well, inputs, but I'm using the plasma in conjunction with everything I do now, and experimenting.
Let us know. I think you work with Jim and Lisa as well, or you have some connection with them.
Yeah,
we're learning more on the farming side. At the moment, all the concentration is going on the dynamic side, or what we call the enhancement unit. And in time, we'll come back to agriculture because we see if we complete this side, the agriculture side will be more or less resolved because people will not rely that much. We eat out of pleasure of maybe eating something. That's our target. But at the moment, a lot of energy and effort is going into we have a production. We are not in the research. We have a research side and a production side. And everything for us, I explained before, it would take 6 months to produce something because the research had to be done. Now we have, everything is lined up, different teams and different people are responsible for it. So we changed the head unit in the enhancement unit yesterday, which was changed on Monday. It would have taken us 3-4 months to do it. It was done within a week. The new enhancement unit head for the other one, which just changed, will be there next week. And these are all cost money. These are all wages paid. The expenses on the Keshe Foundation are huge. And we don't get support from people. Very few people support the Keshe Foundation. And by selling off the products, by developing new, what do you call it, structures, we try to keep up. Knowledge seekers are worst Jews I've ever seen, most of them. They like to have it, but they don't put anything in it. If I make the knowledge seekers teaching on Thursdays, you pay €5 to come in, it'll be 2,000, 10,000, but we earn 50,000 we can spend that week. It's not there. It's millions missing, nothing comes in. This stealing is a habit of the man.
In the past, Mr. Keshe, I used to do some PowerPoint presentations, and When I charged $5, not many came. When I charged 20, more people came. So
What do
sometimes
you mean?
it seems like they thought they would get better value if they paid more.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it works. We'll see what comes up. We see what we can do. We see how things take shape.
It takes a leap of faith, Mr. Kesh. It takes a leap of faith for many people. And I think if they feel what I feel and understand, maybe they would give more, you know.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you for a few seconds.
Yeah, I just said it takes a leap of faith, you know, and you know, people would give more if they, you know, understood what you're saying and the technology, that they would give as much as they could possibly give, you know, without worrying too much about, you know,
We're working on that black budget business. We have to sell the technologies to the others who control, and then we go back into what we call what's next. You understand?
Yep. Yeah.
And then people say, oh, Keshe Foundation, you know, the way we did with the, what do you call it? With giving the key to the government. So if you remember in 2012,
yeah,
hundreds, thousands of the Keshe Foundation followers, when more or less I call it rioting. You betrayed us, you gave the key to the government and the rest of it. And then when we gave it to them, they did nothing with it. What are you crying for? You understand?
Yeah.
And this is the way it is, the way it sits around the Keshe Foundation.
Which countries, Mr. Kesh, is the most responsive to the technology today? Austria, or are there other countries that?
Each one works in a different way. Now we have, I think, about 32 Keshe Foundation knowledge groups. We don't have the Chinese, we don't have the Japanese. Those two are not set up. Well, I think it's about 32. I have a list of. And the Arab nations are busy with their business. We don't see hardly any activity in the Middle East Arab nations. We see extremely active South America. We see limited number of activities, groups or whatever in North America. Europe has always been very political dynamic. Europe is one of the most dynamic, what do you call it, structures.
Yeah.
We see activities very heavy in Russia, but Russian groups are extremely active for themselves, and it's like become gang groups. Different groups are working for themselves, but very active. Middle East, we see Iran. The Turkish Keshe Foundation are very active, but they commercialize most of the Keshe Foundation technology for themselves. We see them operating companies and different things, and they copy whatever we do. Africa is sporadic. There's hardly any activity compared to the area. Then we see China. Chinese Keshe Foundation is extremely active inside for themselves. People are making a lot of things in China, selling them on the name of the Keshe Foundation. Some of them changed the name to Quantum, and when a couple of the guys who changed Quantum to Defraud were arrested by the Chinese authorities 3 years ago, and that went to an end. But a lot of them work on Plasma and the Keshe Foundation. Australia is, Japan is extremely active, but in the background. Japanese were pressurized heavily in some parts, especially after Fukushima, by the government of the, what do you call it? The deceased Prime Minister of Japan. He did a lot of harm to Keshe Foundation, as I explained.
The one that was,
The one
that
who was assassinated. Yeah.
yeah.
He went outright to steal from the Keshe Foundation, but he belongs to one of the most radical criminal organizations in Japan. He is not what is seen on the face. We know how he operates because we have to deal with that.
Are there any good leaders in the world, Mr. Keshe? Any good leaders today? You
I don't know. It depends what you call good to which side.
Yeah. Well, you know, I look at people like, Franklin Roosevelt and JFK, and I think, well, where are these people that we don't see them anymore?
But were they good? Ask yourself a question.
I-
What we do not know that did. What did Roosevelt bring in? Which
From
now
my research, Roosevelt to me was tried to do the right thing, but he died, you know. And I think that given the chance, and even JFK, you know, no one's perfect, like in a sense that, but to me, there was a quality of that I like.
we can be nostalgic, you know. You have this young prime minister in Canada. Everybody thought would be his stand-up to be worse than the old ones. How in such a young life is them to be such a backward, what do you call it, gangster, God knows.
Mm.
You heard Rick voicing. We see the position now in most of Western Europe. Presidents are losing positions and times, and another one with the same thing with the same group comes up. We saw how Prime Minister of England now is gone, but some of his activities are known. We saw, you say, the ex-Prime Minister of England, they only become Prime Minister to line up their own pocket. What was his name? The Prime Minister of England. He's one of the top richest men in the world now. He put together 18 billion plus on bribery while he was the Prime Minister.
Boris, you're talking about?
No, the other ones behind him. Both the John Major made a fortune out of being a Prime Minister, and the other one behind him after Mrs. Thatcher, his wife being a, what do you call it, a lawyer, she wrote all the bribery contracts.
Yeah.
He's put 18 billion, known, we don't know about unknown, into different funds and organization of himself. 18 billion. Pardon?
The name Tony Blair has come up several times in the chat while you're talking as well.
Yeah. His wife stashed away 18 billion in legal contracts. Iranian leaders did the same. All the Iranian leaders, Rafsanjani and the rest, they wiped out. Bribery was nothing. So, are there any good ones? Depends who was good for what reason to whom.
The good ones never get in. Like I saw one in America that went for, put his hand up to be president, but never made it, Dennis Kucinich. And he was a man of, for me, great integrity. And,
we don't know who they sold their soul. You see, if you been where we've been, what we see, what we sometimes get involved in, these people come to an agreement who finances them to become leaders. So any world leader you see today is already pre-sold. Any world leader.
yeah.
The budget to campaign is so extensive, so expensive, that needs somebody to back, or syndicate of people to back. And these people don't back for the love of the nation. They back for the love of their bank accounts, what they'll get from it. And we see it. I see this on a regular basis every 2, 3, 4 years. People who approach Keshe Foundation that they want to be candidate in the parliament or standing for presidential with the foundation support. We meet with them, we interact with them, because if they carry data of the Keshe Foundation, we can do certain things. And in the recent past, the heads of the Keshe Foundation has been with me when I negotiated with the world leaders. They sit on the same table with me. Because they have to learn how to do it. And we negotiate. If we support a person to become a leader, we want to see data of the Keshe Foundation, where we want to see and how we want to see it. We're not just doing it for them to be there to carry on. And as I said, in the past, recent past, some of the Keshe Foundation top people have been with me. When we sit with these people, we negotiate with governments.
Should be a criteria that every world leader should enter the flight
You
system.
cannot do, yeah, it should be that way, but they cannot do. The campaigning costs money. You see the poster on the wall with the name. Somebody had to design it. Somebody had to pay for it. Somebody had to pay for it to stick on there. Somebody had to buy that space, because they would have put somebody else's picture on it, and they would have made another advertising from somewhere else. And to get that kind of thing, I read you something very interesting. This arrived, pass. 1 second. I'm getting a message. There is a message here. Some people got the idea, send a message that they get the, what do you call it? The enhancement unit for €100. This is there's no such a thing. What we call the gas unit is minimum 2,000 donation to the Keshe Foundation for you to be considered. And not with €100, and nobody gets anything for €100. Secondly, when we just get on the message from the Keshe Foundation team that the invitation we put out on card is only for world leaders and ambassadors, not for you just have an invitation that come in. Read it. It says it's for government officials. It's got the writing at the bottom of it. And we are not letting nobody in. You have to follow for the enhancement unit. The procedure is, this is an invitation card to world leaders to see, to know what comes. And some people catch one says, no, I have this, I can come in. You, as what I call, be very clear about it. The change of the position to come to enhancement unit has not changed. This is an invitation which we give for you, for the world leaders. They have to come. We have to confirm their credential, their position politically, diplomatically, before even they are booked to come in. Not just I have a ticket, I write my name in and I come in. I was gonna show you something. I get messages from everywhere. I lost the track of my mind, what we were talking about. Carry on, because I forgot what I was going to show you. I was going to go and show you something, and I forgot. Because the messages came from the Keshe Foundation. Rick?
Yes, trying to think what that might have been. Well, it was started with the donation of 100 euros, and that's
Yeah,
not going to
that
work. You
was
mentioned 2,000 euros, and then something after that.
before that.
Uh,
I was going to show you something with it. Doesn't matter. It's okay. If it means you're not ready for it, we come to it because the messages are coming from the cash management team and the management team. What is going on?
Okay, well, we have.
Sorry,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Kesh. I hope you remain safe. I'm a bit worried, but now that you've released what you've done, may you be protected.
Meeting with we have meeting today with the oil and gas industry of Western Europe. I'll finish in the next few minutes. And this meeting has to take place, and we do not know the outcome. We have worked approached and trying to, especially Germany has been hit very badly, to sort something with the German government to support the German nation. Is our responsibility because Euro is backed by the German industry and it's a major corporation in the whole structure. And what do you call it? Destabilizing Germany, destabilizes the whole of Western Europe. We are part of it. I am the European member of the Earth Council, and it's my responsibility. The country of Europe is my responsibility to cover for these kind of things, and that's why we're taking the steps. It's not just waiting for something to happen. I look at it as part of the European continent, which I stand for as a council member. As council member, it's my responsibility to see to be sorted.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We have a question or a hand up from Thomas, but before that, Stefania from the Italian sector has a question from Lucio in the Q&A. Two questions actually, sort of together. How does the power energy unit for the home work, and how does the mobile unit work?
What do you mean power energy unit?
I guess the home energy unit is
the enhancement unit, which is out. This connects to the house, and we have one now with the Americans coming up with all the declaration of it and testing it. It should reduce between 30 to 50% of the electricity bill. And once we feed in the generator is a battery-based charging, and with the new what we call the gas line, we can take that part out of the equation that it needs to be recharged, because now we back it with the generator, with the system of the house unit to be there. There are a lot of things, it's a new developments, a lot of things getting added to it, and it is working, and we put it that way. But you can't add that gas unit to your car. You need to convert the gas into energy, which is done in Western Europe and most of the world. You're filling the gas tank. And it more or less completes a whole energy cycle for us, and both electrical and energy wise. But the majority, the reason for this has to come from the what you call production unit of basic energies, which are set up to be done.
Nikolai asks, are the 3,000 new plasma enhancement systems set up as pure givers to find position with all of the MagRav systems, which can act as the receivers of this energy in order to create the dome across the planet?
More or less, that's what it is, because there's another back into it. We work not with satellite. We work with fields and we understand the work of the field. It's a big difference.
And I guess they can't be a pure giver. Is that true? There's always some take with the giving, sort of.
There has to be something in there to energize it, to put it in the position of going. Those of you who are member of Universal Council support team, we have posted the invitation to the officials to your site. So you can work with your officials. We welcome the officials from the Iranian government as much as we welcome to the Hebrew language, and see if you can get both of them at the same time in there. And the same goes for the American and the Chinese. The English language speaking is responsible for all the English language speaking of, unless you are a Universal Council member for United States English, which is a different.
Okay, Thomas, I guess it's time for you to go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Cash. This is Thomas from Switzerland. It's very interesting to hear all what you told us this morning, but I think we have three enormous problems in Europe and around the world. One is social, one is political, and one is financial. We have this extreme war on the information side going on, where America and NATO tries to poke Russia to start a war. We have our so-called Khazarian mafia, which still...
Oh, we know about all these things. They've been there for centuries.
Yes, Mr. Kesh, but what I try to ask you is, how are we going about these three things? Because socially, we are at the brink of a revolution. Financially, we're at the brink of a full collapse of this credit system, because since 100 years, we don't have a sound money system. We have a credit system. And then we have a social problem where our politicians try to introduce in Europe and America a credit system the way
Move
they
to
have.
Africa. Move to Africa.
No, Mr. Kesh, I don't want
Yeah.
to move everywhere, because we are all in this.
No, I'm just.
We
I
have
was trying to change the position. You see, the whole situation comes out of need. All the positions, all the things we have now, politically, groups, mafias, whatever, whatever agenda you put it on, comes out of the need. And this is where our major problem has been sitting: need. When we change this position of need, then we can talk about it.
I think the need, you're absolutely right. But the problem here is that since the 60s, when we had Brzezinski as the man who told the Americans what the goal of the WEF and 300s and the Foreign Relations Committee is, that is a population reduction. And they're presently absolutely on their way to go to the situation where the population is going to be very, very under pressure, because it's going to be reduced in Europe and America. And then we're landing in a sort of third world country.
The way I look at it, in the West, we have taken charge of birth control in different ways for different reasons. That's all. The lifestyle is changed. we prefer to have one child and spend everything on it to be a perfect child. We try to spend more on ourselves, and why do I give life to another life I have to look after? And the expense of life has brought us in a position of most of our youngsters don't want to have children. So we brought the population control. And is done by choice.
But Mr. Kesh, the injections people received is not by choice. The injection it's a weapon, and it's a death injection. These
yes, I know, I understand these things.
They will be infertile.
Let me put it this way. But the way, if I can explain it in the way we see the Keshe Foundation technology for the space work, and if you understood the teaching about the soul of Mitra, you do not need egg and the sperm to create the life. You use the soul of the man and a woman to create that child in dimension. So the injections don't count. They can inject you with anything. If you understand, you can tune, you can develop the structure, the way the children of Mitra are born, to be born by you, you don't need. Let them inject as much as they like. Let them do.
Mr. Kesh, the side effects of this injection to the people is creating a suffering which is absolutely out of this world. This is unbelievable.
I know people, out of 4 friends, 3 have died because of injection. The thing is now is coming back again. You will see this winter, this autumn, the corona mayhem will start with the razzmatazz, bigger than last year.
Yes, but we do know that this is the normal flu, because the corona
doesn't matter what we call it.
Doesn't matter
what we call it. There is a way they will control. There is a way. So let me explain to you something very simple. You and I got the fruit of the people who were pensioners before us. Yeah?
Yes.
They worked. They built the nations. They worked to build our parents, worked their life, and they paid for what we call pensions in Europe, in Western world. Yeah? And our government, as we heard from the others, wasted the money. Some of it went for the bribery, some went for the wrong thing, some went for military, but didn't go for the pensions which our parents paid for it. And what you and I paid for. You understand? And now the governments have to pay your parents and me and you in coming to pension. Sorry, the kit is empty. The kit is totally empty. We have 2 choices. We don't pay, or make sure you're not to pay. Ensure that pension policy in the West is the most amazing structure that we have accepted because when we die, it doesn't matter anymore. But in fact, if you look at it, you are putting all your money, huge amount of money, into the pension. is there. It makes a cumulative increase of whatever. During the time you start from 20 to 60, every 7 years, every 5 years has doubled. But when it comes to you, there is nothing to take. Even though for 40 years you paid for it. So the government have two choices. When you're in age of pension and above, you're at the weakest point, find a way to term, and because the minute you take the last breath, that pension is a saving for the nation.
But
You
Mr.
don't have to
Keshe,
pay.
There is no absolute, the pensions, everything is an illusion. For
No,
100 years,
let me explain to
but
you
please,
why
for
when you talk
100 years,
about
Mr. Kesh, for 100 years, we have a credit system. This system,
it has helped to generate
it has nothing
finances.
behind. There is the people.
Doesn't
will-
matter. There is
Yeah,
nothing
but
behind.
Mr. Kesh, the people and everybody will have
Let
to
me
lose
explain
everything.
to you. Let me explain to you something. We are a scientific structure. We are a space scientific structure. But with it, due to our technology, we get involved. We are part, and we become a structure of the government in one way or another, in affecting the energy, affecting the health, affecting the agriculture. Obama said it's the most disruptive technology ever known, but we need it. So it's for us to change the last 100 years. It's for us to change 1,000 years. Man has never had an opportunity like this. In drips and drabs. Now you're getting everything in one cycle. What you want? What else do you want?
Mr. Kesh, I'm absolutely
You-
with you. What your inventions, what your technique, what your things are, they are the solution to the
are
problem.
not all the
But
solution.
the-
We are
the
part of the
governments
solution.
are not participating in it.
We
That's a problem because the financial
listen. No.
mafia
Let me explain to you something. Governments are part of the Keshe Foundation development. We hear from Australia, the guy is making agriculture. We hear from in Iran or in China, people are making answers, doing things, making money. They're paying taxes or not paying taxes, but they are generating into it. Our way is, I have a very clear understanding and policy in the Keshe Foundation. And I continuously remind the people around. We cannot fight the past, but by setting a new way, we can change the future. This is how it is, how it shall be, how it will be made to be. We cannot change, and we are not in drips and drabs. The only thing Keshe Foundation is not on the public television and the rest. But underneath, I was explaining this past few days ago, I was informed that because we keep a track of the growth and the shape of the Keshe Foundation of ours, we passed more or less 500 million people work being around or heard or done with the Keshe Foundation. It took Christ 300 years to become even less than 1 million. We are only 15 years here. And with all the restrictions they put on us, no technology. Never in the world of man, a technology combined has been scuffled so much by a collection of governments. When you don't hear any news in Austria or Switzerland or whatever, you don't hear the rest. The institutions, the structure, the mafias have never worked so hard to stop a technology. But we grow.
I think
While we
they
grow,
cannot
we grow.
stop it. I don't think that they can stop the technology. But
Yes,
what
but
they
this
have-
technology is going to bring the change.
Right, but in the meantime,
There is always a transition time.
we
It's not a flick of a finger, huh?
no, absolutely. I'm fully with you. The problem I just see is that there is still an enormous amount of people who is absolutely not informed on anything. So
We
the
cannot be
No,
informed
I don't
because they
mean,
don't care.
Mr. Kesh, I don't mean that they're not informed
I'm not going into
on
discussion because we can go for months and months with this. Let me explain to you something very simple. We when the power of this technology fully understood and applied, most probably you and I would not be here to see it in 50 years, 100 years.
Absolutely.
But it will take its shape, it will take its time. There is a big part of the technology teaching which I'm holding back for years to come in. When I release that knowledge, there'll be no politician who can stop. There's no financial organization that can stop. But what would it bring as a shock into the system? It'll be another magician. There'll be another Christ making a dead man to walk. What we've done, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you how hypocrisy works and how everybody cries for something which, if we all seen it, we know what it is. If you can do what I done in the past years with the whole structure with Naomi, it's a major, major thing to build the brain which is missing to go to walk. Where is it? Christ couldn't do that.
Mr. Kesh,
well, you see the problem. No, let me explain to you. I have accepted that needs time. When you accept something needs time, you accommodate for it. Just, in the airport, you're waiting for the flight, so you have to do something. I'm that man in the airport waiting for the man to take a flight to understand his life. Doesn't matter if a plane crashes in the airport, is a president comes with the next plane or whatever. I have to take my time till my time comes. So doesn't matter what mafias, Illuminatis, Masons, Japanese terrorists, and the rest of it come and go. You have to have the patience to do what I did. And you have to have the patience to build it slowly, slowly, slowly. And then if you expect just because you bake the cake, you have to eat it today, sorry about that. This cake takes a long time to bake, and bits and bits and bits and bits, and people have to take it. So we can't change the past. We have to push forward, bring new technologies, bring new understanding, change the condition by new technologies, show you don't need passports the way we are doing now in the enhancement unit, show you don't need the energy now, which we do with the gas and everything else, and let's see what's next. In an hour and a half, in 2 hours, I'm sitting with the leading governmental European oil corporations and government officials from a number of countries, how to solve the gas problem with the Western Europe today. Why do they sit with Keshe Foundation? You walk into somewhere and do it. Why, when we organize the ambassador meeting, ambassadors turn up? They have a full dossier on us. We are in the transition of the knowledge and technology, one side by the man himself and one side by the knowledge which is coming up through the teachings and the other things by the what I call the love of create. Don't expect, they're always been there. If we're gonna waste our time on it, better don't do anything. Political life is part of the structure of what they're bringing. I've been bombed, I've been shut up, I've been betrayed in every shape or form. I've been poisoned. Have I stopped? Do they stop? No. Would they stop? No. Because there is still that wife, that mistress, that game for the child to be bought, and it has to come from somewhere. I know what I was going to show you. I was going to tell you. Just 1 second. I remember now what I wanted to tell you. This is from somebody who wants to become a president of a nation. It's a message to WhatsApp. It says, when I win the parliamentary, then I can start up for the presidency. And it says, I've written this to you that we need your support to gain a political strength, as we know you have both in our nation. This is from somebody who's going to be a world leader in the coming time and has come to Keshe Foundation because we know we influence in political directions. And I can just put the screenshot of it out and delete his name.
Mr. Kesh, I'm
But
actually
so
a very
no,
positively thinking person. What I do hope,
I don't be positive. We have no choice. The
Yeah,
man has
right,
been so negative
but
just to do it.
I think the outcome will be positive. What I do hope for your conversations and for your talks with these gas people from Germany, that this company, whoever it is, will be the first domino to fall, where you can
It's not a
come
fall.
to the, Mr. Kesh, let me say it,
It's
that
not a
you
fall.
can, with them, can come to the point where they see your possibilities are such that, yes, Mr. Keshe and the Keshe Foundation will bring Germany all the gas it needs. That would be the domino which will then go around the world, because Germany would be strong enough to
Let me tell
remain what Germany is.
Let me tell you exactly what happened to us in China. It'll repeat itself here in the West. They take the technology, they change the name to it, to the German or Austrian or a French company that will not show as a Keshe Foundation technology. Didn't this happen to us in Iran? Didn't this happen to us in China? Didn't this happen in Fukushima?
But how do we get to the point where
The point
gas
is no.
going
The
to flow
point
to
no
Germany?
no. The point is, how many people got benefited with what we did in Fukushima? Millions, and that's what it counts. Don't expect to receive. We are here to serve. You have not even understood the work I do.
Oh,
If it
well,
was anybody else, would have taken the Japanese Prime Minister, Japanese government, with all the documents we have, how we gave everything to them, the sequence of times, and it would have changed.
But don't you think that we are now 10 years later, we have so many more people in the world which would see what the Keshe Foundation.
Well, it
can
doesn't
do.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
what
I think
no.
that would matter if the
Yes,
gas flows to Germany. next
Tomorrow they
week.
forget. Next year nobody will remember. Nobody who speaks about Fukushima now is history. But every day, Keshe Foundation GANS technology is used in the station. And where did he receive all the threats from? How everything was curtailed to the benefit of Japanese. The prime minister now is in a coffin.
I see.
If you understand Japanese culture, do you know what a shameful way he has died? That's why he was killed that way. He was as I said, I wrote into one of the communications of the Keshe Foundation. No one did more harm to Keshe Foundation than him. Do you know when the technology come up, that the technology is there, it's come from Iranian nuclear physics, have solved the problem in Fukushima? Do you know what changes would have brought for us internationally? The rest of the technology would have been accepted. Recently, we found that one of our innermost people with us was working with them. We couldn't see it. So it's irrelevant. The point is, the technology saved a lot of lives. A lot of fathers and mothers with the radiation are alive. A lot of farmers in Japan have managed to control it, are doing the farming. And that's what we are there for. Not to count how much good we did and what is our next step. And this is what it is. I wonder how many of you knowledge seekers will be part of this change we asked for today. I promise you, none of you will do it. But if I put the GANS unit for sale for 5,000, all of you will buy it. And this is the problem with you knowledge seekers.
Mr. Keshe,
I would like to finish this discussion, please.
Right.
Just thank you very much.
I just wanted to tell you.
Thank you very much. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I just muted him if we
Yeah.
want to end the discussion now.
Yeah, we are nearly about 1 o'clock. I have a meeting in an hour or so. Thank you very much for today. We leave the structure as it is. You can invite your all leaders to go through the process of the enhancement unit. And we set up the scene for the next step to see what it is and how it is, and how the structure of the work works. And we see how everything will come together. We hope we have success with the what we call the gas people of the Western Europe in the coming hours and days. And we hope the knowledge seekers understand what is to come. Thank you very much today. And we'll meet hopefully very soon, by next week or so. And as I said to Rick before, we do so much test in the Keshe Foundation at the moment that we put the testimonials to be, what do you call it? The testimonials from flights on every second Monday of the month, which gives us a lot of, what do you call it, freedom not to put so much pressure on trying to show. We put the testimonials at the beginning, you've seen it, and you see more and more what happens. If, as I said, we have to make every one of you to understand, and for most of you to realize this system is a life system in which and carries the information and knowledge of the humanity in one way or another. And it's for you to do it. We've done enough, we shared enough, and we carry on doing enough. If I have to entice you by, if you come in, your cancer will go, if you come in, you see your grandpa, and if you do this and that, this is something that you have to decide, not us. Do you really want to get rid of that cancer? but that cancer is a way of you balancing your life. And then don't ask the system to adjust you for your own conduct. But if you're there to see the change, to bring the change for the next cycle, it's there to do. And thank you very much for today. And I'm sure we'll see the, what do you call it? Those of you who support the foundation for the, what we call the energy unit, the new gas unit which we put out. And the rest of it is all with you to do. We do our part. We're doing our part to the best of our ability. Thank you very much, Rick. And we'll see you shortly, hopefully by next week.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh, for the 441st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 14th, 2022. You see, we have the next public teaching workshop will be on Tuesday coming up. Let me just get the date here. Be July 19th with the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace, which starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. And I think there's something else I'm forgetting to announce probably, but I think we're good for that. Thank you everybody for attending today and for your questions and comments. And we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop. Okay, thank you again, Mr. Kesh. And bye everyone. We'll go out with the musical version of the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit. And we'll see you later.